seeing into the future, mysterious and completely beyond the grasp of most Christians. But is that really true? I'm going to tell you why it's not right now. Hey, I'm author Michael Ramsey, and this is Michael Ramsey Books, where I show people how to transform their ordinary relationship with God into a spiritual one. If you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, be sure to hit the red subscribe button and ring the notification bell now. There are times when you sense danger, evil, and you just know something bad is about to happen. And then there are times you sense something good is in store for you. When my nephew was in high school, a parent of another band student who owned a Ford dealership donated a brand new car to be raffled off during halftime at the homecoming football game. Some parents bought hundreds of dollars of raffle tickets. My sister bought one. On the day of the big football game, my sister called all her friends, all of which bought heavily into the raffle, and told them she was going to win. Of course, none of them believed her. How could her one ticket be the winning ticket? That evening, after the band marched and they introduced the homecoming court, it was time for the big drawing. When they called my sister's name over the loudspeaker, her friend turned to her and said, "Are you surprised they called your name?" And she said, "No, I would have been surprised if they hadn't." This true story illustrates how not to see the future. And yes, I said not. I cringe when I hear pious preachers attempting to prophesy. I laugh when I see self-proclaimed psychics wearing robes, head wraps, and other interesting attire attempting to foretell the future. I guess the get-up somehow enables them to know things nobody else does. Just like the way you instantly become a kung fu master when you put on a karate robe. At best, these half-baked fakes are only half right half the time. That's because they really don't understand how it works when it comes to foreseeing the future. On the flip side of Christianity, psychics do in fact have some knowledge of things that aren't known to any of us who are living. The problem is they're getting their information from spirits of the dead and from demons. These are not benevolent beings that want to help you. Their agenda, which I talked about in the previous video on testing spirits, which I'll leave a link to at the end of this video, is ultimately to mislead, entrap, and draw you into the darkness. Like my sister, who has particularly good intuition, there are doctors, nurses, podcasters, and preachers who sense something about the vaccine. And I agree, there are good reasons to believe these things are not only harmful, but dangerous. But once again, sensing is not the same as seeing. To make any kind of prediction based on sensing would be a mistake. A mistake new spiritual Christians sometimes make, a mistake that can discredit your ministry. You see, when you become a spiritual Christian, I think you'll find your ability to sense things, all things, becomes far more acute. It is very different from any kind of intuition you may have previously experienced. That's why Paul said in 1 Corinthians 2:15, a spiritual man judges all things, but he himself is to be judged by no one. When you learn to follow your spirit, you gain this incredible supernatural ability, and you're always right. That's because it isn't just you. It is the Lord who interacts with your spirit to bring all things into the light. Now, there's a lot more to sensing, a ton more I could say about it, but that's a future video. Be sure and subscribe so you don't forget and you don't miss it. Revelation 4:1. After these things I looked, and behold, a door standing open in heaven. And the first voice, which I had heard like the sound of a trumpet speaking with me, said, "Come up here, and I will show you what must take place after these things." John's revelation, a vision, a seeing, not sensing something. When you see the future, you don't engage your spirit like you would when you sense. Instead, it comes to you. John, Daniel, Ezekiel, and other accounts like Paul's account in 2 Corinthians 12:2 of a man who was caught up into third heaven are all quite similar. They are all quite different from sensing. So then, just how does one see into the future? It's actually much easier than you think. You don't have to do anything. No robes or psychic garb needed. No long prayers and fasting sessions required. You ask the Lord to show you. It's just that simple. However, discerning what you saw is where it gets more interesting. It is quite a bit more complex. Consequently, we'll need to talk more about discerning the future in a future video. The Spiritual Journey, Volume 1, The Desert, is now The Spiritual Christian. I had to rename it to a more fitting name. Consequently, it'll be slightly delayed, but it'll be well worth your wait. The Exchanged, Suspense, Mystery, and Intrigue. A Christian-based thriller better than any book you'll find on Amazon. No delays with this one. I'll be making an announcement soon as to its release date. Next time, next step. Again, if you haven't already subscribed on YouTube, be sure and do so now. That way you don't miss a single video. Can't wait until next time. Like me on Facebook and visit me at michaelramseybooks.com.